What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. FantasyTeamAdvisors.com, bringing them the bacon NFL DFS video. We are going over our top 5 favorite stacks for Week 13. So we have already covered the Thursday slate. So depending on when you watch this video, we've already talked about the Thursday slate. We broke that down. It's a 40-minute video. We broke it down. We built lineups for you. So if you're curious about it, I will link that at the end of the video. We are going over, and then we have a Friday game, but the Raiders and the Chiefs, but we are going over 5 stacks of teams from Sunday and Monday Night Football. So we're going to cover that. If you want to check that out, make sure you stick around. If you've never been to the channel before, welcome and subscribe. It would be awesome if you guys could. If you watch this entire video, whether or not you watch it a couple of times to help out with the algorithm, the entirety of it, that would be awesome. But we have giveaways every single video. Here's how to win a free month of FTA Plus, brought to you by FantasyTeamAdvisors.com. We have launched a second channel. It is a history channel. We have started off slowly with the history of the NFL. The next video we're going to do is the history of the Dallas Cowboys, so on and so forth. Maybe we'll go through the entirety of the NFL that will make our way to MLB. But right now, the channel's right here, and I will link it down below. We have one video up. Anyone who goes to this channel, subscribes, checks out that video, watches the entire 13 minutes, and leaves a comment will have a chance to win a free month of FTA Plus when we do the full main slate breakdown. The video probably usually goes about Friday night or Saturday night. So we're going to have a breakdown of the entire main slate, and we'll have a giveaway. So all you got to do is check that out. It is down below. So good luck to everyone who enters that. Our sponsor, Outlier.Bet, we can use this while we build around and look at the games that we want to talk about, which I'm very excited about. So link to sign up is in the description, along with our free Discord. Get in there while you can. And check out FantasyTeamAdvisors.com. FTA Plus, a weekly pass for $10, a monthly pass for $30, a yearly pass for $199, or a lifetime pass for $500. So check it out. So we're going to go over using our matchup tool. These are the defenses. These are all of the stats they give up to each position. These are the teams we want to target, and we will go from there. So let's dig in. Let's check out our favorite 5 stacks. We're going to go starting with number 5. That is Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos versus Cleveland Browns and Jameis Winston on Monday Night Football. So if we do take a look at this and we look at the games for the NFL for Week 13, we can see this game right now has Denver as 5.5 favorites, over/under of 42.5, and Denver has a current implied team total of 22.97. Now, we use that information. Here are how we break down the matchup tool, which I'm going to put on the other screen and talk about, but you guys can find it under the NFL tab, under the matchup tool. It's a completely free tool for you. That is what we've got. So, looking at this matchup, Cleveland ranks 25th. So if we look at this, Cleveland ranks 25th on Fanduel. So depending on what site you're on, 25th on DraftKings, 25th on Fanduel, giving up an average of 20.6 fantasy points per game to the opposing quarterbacks. So we look at that situation. We look at here, this game. We go Bo Nix here. And we see what he did last week. We loved him last week, 19.42, 273 yards, 1 passing touchdown, 1 rushing attempt on 5 yards. So we loved him, and we stacked him with Courtland Sutton, and that's exactly what I want to do in this game as well. I'm going to take Bo Nix, number 25 against the quarterback. Now we look at who I'm going to pair him with, and that is Courtland Sutton. Now, if we look at Cleveland against the opposing wide receivers on FanDuel, they rank 28th out of 32. They give up an average of 31.7 fantasy points per game. We are looking at that. He is averaging 12.9. We obviously know Veli is another option, but last week we absolutely loved Sutton. He was in almost every single one of our lineups. 8 receptions on 10 targets, 97 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So let me know if you use that information when you guys listened to last week. So we've got Bo Nix and Courtland Sutton. Now, I told you we weren't looking at Audric Esteem last week. I took him out of my player pool, and he went for 1.5. I think the little boost of he's going to see more kind of didn't happen. But we were over Javonte Williams, where it actually was Jaleel McLaughlin's week last week. But here's another thing. in that same game, I'm looking at Devon Velli yet again. He had 9 targets last week, 6 receptions, 80 yards, no touchdown, but he was targeted a ton. I love this matchup for him. It is number 24 or number 28 against the wide receiver on Fanduel, which we absolutely love. So that is what we're looking at. So number 5 stack for week 13, Sunday, Monday slate. I've got the Denver Broncos versus the Cleveland Browns. Now, if you're looking for that give back or that gimme back, that's kind of what people are looking at. So Cedric Tillman's got a concussion. Depending on if he's going to be cleared or not, I doubt it. You got Jerry Jeudy coming in. In that game, he had 85 yards. So if you want to give a comeback you've got these 3, you want Cleveland, I would look at a Jerry Jeudy or Elijah Moore when we're building our first stack here. All right, number 4 stack, week 13. I don't know what's going on with him. I'm very confused what he's bringing to the table. CJ Stroud against Jacksonville. Now, this is a premier lineup matchup for him. So we look at this game. The implied team total for Houston as of today, 23.25. An over-under of 43, and Houston are a 5-point favorite right now. Now, CJ Stroud looked amazing last year. This year has been different. Still, he's coming off 33 passing attempts, 247 yards, 2 touchdowns. Did have 2 interceptions, though. That's the problem. Tennessee's defense, I don't know what's going on. This matchup here versus Jacksonville. Jacksonville against the quarterback, they rank dead last. 32 of 32, giving up an average of 24.4 fantasy points per game. And I love Stroud here, but if he doesn't do it this week, we're pretty much done. I'm done with him if he doesn't do it this week. I love Stroud. He's got the best matchup of all quarterbacks in week 13. Now, who's he going to throw it to? He has Nico Collins coming back off of injury the past 2 games. He has Tank Dell, who is there as well. He's got Joe Mixon. That's what I love. I love looking at the wide receivers here. So if we look at wide receivers for Jacksonville, or against Jacksonville, Jacksonville ranks 30th out of 32, giving up an average of 34.6 fantasy points per game. Nico Collins is obviously the top. I don't mind him whatsoever. Tank Dell is there as well, 6,400. I would rather pay up for Nico Collins. And then running back situation. If I'm stacking with the Houston Texans here, I am looking at Jacksonville. They rank 31st out of 32 against the opposing running backs, 26.6 fantasy points per game, and they're utilizing Joe Mixon like he's never been utilized before. It is a very expensive stack, but we are able to find some value today, or this week, I believe, to make our stack at least comfortable here. So I look at this. This is my stack number 4, CJ Stroud, Joe Mixon, and Nico Collins to wrap up that stack. Let's move on to number 3 stack for us for week 13. We're looking at the Philly-Baltimore game. We are looking at Jalen Hurts versus Baltimore. Baltimore Ravens against the opposing quarterbacks. I rank 30 of 32. They give up an average of 22.4 fantasy points on FanDuel, 22.6 fantasy points on DraftKings. So, Jalen Hurts, we know that he can run in some touchdowns as well. Had only 1 passing touchdown in that game. Only 15 completions against the Rams, 22 passing attempts. They absolutely demolished the Rams, and it was Saquon Barkley's game. This game should be close, or Philly could be playing from behind against Baltimore and Lamar, which I absolutely love in this situation. He had 12 rushing attempts for 39 yards in that game as well. 15.06 is a low game for him, and I would not be surprised to see something towards 30-plus out of Jalen Hurts in this game. We look at the implied team total is 24.69. The over-under is 50.5. It is a very high over-under. With Philly being a 2.5-point underdog, maybe they are playing from behind. That is hopefully the case in this situation. I love Jalen Hurts. We are going to put him as our number 3 quarterback. Now, who do we want to throw him to? So, obviously, A.J. Brown makes a lot of sense. He's the number 1. Devontae Smith was out last week. Even when he's in, he is still not the the top here. We are looking at Baltimore. Baltimore secondary, they rank 31 out of 32. They give up an average of 35.7 fantasy points on Fanduel and 43 fantasy points on DraftKings. Now, A.J. Brown has been feasting all year. He's got a great matchup coming off 7 targets last week, 109 yards, 1 touchdown. Now, he's obviously usually can get more than one, or we're used to him having these 100-plus yard games. He's had some down games. I get that. But 119 to start the year, 116, 89, 84. Down game 109, 109 against the Rams. Now he's got a fantastic matchup against Baltimore. I want all the smoke with Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown. Those are my top 2. My number 3, it's Saquon Barkley. Now, he's coming off of 47.2 fantasy points. The game before that, 35.8. So 255 yards last week. 4 receptions for 47 yards on top of that. Almost 300, over 300 yards. Washington, 146 yards with 2 rushing touchdowns. He has back-to-back weeks with rushing touchdowns. Now his matchup here against Baltimore. Baltimore, they rank 8th, so they're pretty good against the opposing running backs. They give up an average of 17.7 on FanDuel, 20.4 on DraftKings. But the Ravens have allowed 546 receiving yards to opposing running backs, 3 touchdowns as well. I want to take advantage of it. This is a very expensive stack here, but he is averaging, look at this, he is averaging 126.54 rushing yards per game. Absolutely wild. 12 touchdowns, averaging 24.9 fantasy points per game on DraftKings or FanDuel. I love this stack. We have to find value in this main slate and Monday night slate if we are going to be able to afford this. But throughout the week, we will see some value open up if there's any injuries. We got some questionable guys throughout the week that we are waiting on some news and notes to come out for. So I very much like Philly as stack number 3. Stack number 2 might be a little, you might not be expecting this, but this is what I'm going to hit you with. We've got Baker Mayfield and Tampa Bay versus the Carolina Panthers. Terrible, terrible defense. Carolina against the opposing quarterback. They rank 28th on FanDuel, 29th on DraftKings. On FanDuel, they're giving up an average of 21.9 fantasy points per game. On DraftKings, 22.2 fantasy points per game there. He got Mike Evans back last week. We had it, Mike Evans, 50-plus receiving yards. He smashed that. So we look at Baker Mayfield here against them. Coming off 18.6, 294 yards against the Giants defense, which was not the best matchup for him, but he had also had 29 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown as well. The passing touchdowns did not happen last week for him, which is not normal. That's the first week he has not had a passing touchdown. I think that changes this week against Carolina. I am locking him in at 8,500. Now, who are we going to throw to? Mike Evans is there. Obviously, Mike Evans makes a lot of sense. Carolina against the wide receiver, they do rank 11th out of 32. So they're pretty good, 25.4 fantasy points per game. I get that. So maybe we pivot off Mike Evans. We look at Cade Otton. Cade Otton is the number 1 receiver when Mike Evans is out. But if they are very good in locking down Mike Evans this week, Cade Otton makes a lot of sense. Carolina against the tight end, they are dead last. They give up 13.9 on FanDuel, 16.5 on DraftKings. Cade Otton is 6,200, so he is pretty expensive for a tight end. Coming off a couple of bad games. He is getting targeted there, but 30-plus yards there. I think he could turn it around, especially if everyone is focused on Mike Evans and their other wide receivers. I think we could take advantage here. Now, my third one, if I am stacking here, I am stacking a running back. So it really just depends on which running back you think is going to do well. Bucky Irving, Rashad White. Bucky Irving is averaging 11.5. Rashad White averaging 11.74. So it really depends on which one you think is going to have the game. Rashad White, you are going to save money at 6,500. Bucky Irving, you are going to pay up, but he's also played 11 games where Rashad White has played 10. So if we look at this situation, I do think it's probably Bucky Irving that I want to go with. We are going to pay up a little bit. But again, this is one where if I'm building stacks, like a Tampa Bay stack here, maybe I do a Tampa Bay stack of Mayfield, Otton, and Irving, and then I switch it up and do like a Baker Mayfield, Otton, and White, and then Mayfield, Evans, and White, Mayfield, Evans, and Irving. So if you feel comfortable with a certain stack, make sure you switch it up a little bit. Build a core around those stacks, but make multiple lineups for you. So that is my number 2 stack of Week 13. Mayfield, Irving, and Otten. Maybe you can switch it up, put up Rachaad White in there as well. This game has Tampa Bay as a 25.43 implied team total, an over-under of 6.5, and Tampa Bay as a 6-point favorite. Now we get to our number 1 stack of Week 13. We've already talked about one side of the ball. I'm looking at Baltimore. I'm looking at Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, very expensive. Cheaper than Jalen Hurts, though. So we look at this situation. Now, Philly's defense, they're pretty good. I'm not going to lie. They're actually pretty good against the opposing quarterbacks. They rank 5th, giving up an average of only 14.3 on Fanduel, 14.5 on DraftKings. But this game, implied team total for Baltimore, 25.99. Over-under, the highest over-under on the slate as of now, 5.5. And Baltimore is a 2.5-point favorite. Not only does he, throw the ball, we know that he can run as well. So Lamar Jackson, number 1. Looking at who we're going to throw here, he's got to throw it to someone. He obviously has Zay Flowers. He has Rashad Bateman. But Bateman's been the guy that's been scoring those touchdowns. I'm looking at Rashad Bateman here against Baltimore. Philly against the opposing wide receivers. They do rank 7th, averaging only 23.9 on FanDuel. I don't care about that. I am looking at Rashad Bateman here. You look at this. He's 5,500, where Zay Flowers is 7,100. So we look at what Zay Flowers did Monday night. 62 yards. Should have had a touchdown. Didn't put his hands out properly. I don't know what was going on. Should have had more points than he did. Rashad Bateman had one before halftime. Only 3 targets, though. 43 yards, but did have a touchdown. That is the only problem here. The targets are kind of weird for him. So whether or not you want to pay up for Zay Flowers, I'm okay with, or you want to pay down for Rashad Bateman, I am okay with that as well. You can always go with a little bit of Mark Andrews if you want. So if you look at Philly against the opposing tight ends, they do rank 3rd, though, 6.6 fantasy points per game. So they're pretty good. If we do go to tight end, Mark Andrews at 5,600, but you can see the targets. 5 targets last game, 5 of 5, 1 receiving touchdown, 13.1 at 5,600. Against Pittsburgh, they are a very good defense, only 22 yards. Against Cincy, 7 targets, 68 yards, and a touchdown. It's been like every other game that he's had a good game except for this little stretch here. So you could use that. I understand. Isaiah Likely's also there. Really has it's he started off very good first week. Had a week against Cincy, but everybody did. Second game against Cincy. Did not play in that second game against Cincy. So that's the problem there with Isaiah Likely. I'm probably looking at Rashad Bateman, Lamar Jackson, and I think I got to go with Derrick Henry here. Now, game 140 yards against the Chargers, 24 rushing attempts, 17 fantasy points. Now, if we look at what the Chargers do against the running backs, Chargers are actually ranked 5th against the running back. So they're very good against the running back, and he absolutely shredded them. You cannot stop Derrick Henry. You look at Philly against the running back, they're ranked 3rd, giving up 15.1. I don't care. Derrick Henry averaging 110 rushing yards a game. I am taking him. It's a expensive stack, but it's a little bit cheaper than if you were to go with Baltimore or Philly on the other side. So, number 1 stack for Week 13, Lamar Jackson, Baltimore Ravens. Whether or not you want to go Rashad Bateman, you want to go Zay Flowers, I am okay with that as well. So there you have it. There is 1 through 5. If you guys have any questions, get those down below. Make sure you check out our Discord, which is completely free Discord. Make sure you check out our sponsor, Outlier.Bet. As always, you can sign up with our link in the description of the video. And be on the lookout for all the other videos. I will link the video for the Thanksgiving Day slate. We will have a video for the main slate breakdown. We will have, this is our stacks video. We will have a rankings video. We will also have a betting video for Week 13. So if you found this at all helpful and useful, make sure you give it a like. It is just me doing this. I am literally going to shut the camera off, upload the video, and then go pick up my kids from daycare and just take care of them right now. So very tired, Dad, but I'm bringing you guys hopefully some heat, bringing you home some bacon, and maybe Thanksgiving weekend, we can bring home some turkey on this fantastic Week 13. Let's have a great week 13. Let me know how you did week 12. Good luck, and as always, let's bring home some bacon. Peace!